Oh my god, we're back on Bust Pucks. I'm Bert,
I'm Clay.
and we're here to talk about the first round of the NHL playoffs, which is
Over.
fully done now. Kind of worked out perfectly because the last game sevens were last night.
Mm-hmm.
There's no games tonight for round two. It starts tomorrow.
Oh, thank Christ, I wasn't going to watch hockey tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, they're all over.
It's done.
You know what? At the
For
top
now.
of the show, let's talk about the little bit of news that you were mentioning to me before we get to the series.
Yep.
As you guys remember, Barry Trotz got fired last week, kind of out of the blue. But as Clay seemingly correctly... Oh, you're right, Clay. Before we
do beer.
Before we get started with all of that, sorry, I just really like talking about hockey.
I know you do.
What are we drinking today, Clay?
All right, we are drinking Two Roads. And based on how
Yes, we are.
the first round of the playoffs goes...
for us too, at least, yeah.
You're a Penguins fan. I'm a Cap fan. I wanted to get a beer that's named in essence of what the future is going to look like for those two teams.
Yeah, we'll see.
And I think this works.
Road to ruin.
Road to ruin.
Road to ruin.
And it's a double IPA. It's bitter.
It is.
It's just like bad. This truth. But you
just like the ending
of
our series together. So, how about cheers to our teams who both got eliminated, but we'll talk to them about them in a little bit.
Let's play golf.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I will say it is nice to see a new handful of teams starting to emerge. There's still some older guard teams like Tampa Bay moving forward and stuff like that, but we'll get to that in a second.
News.
Back to Barry Trotz. So Barry Trotz got fired last week for who knows why. Reasons that it seems like though Clay mentioned last week he thought that maybe they were doing this to keep Lane Lambert, and he was correct.
Aha!
Lane Lambert has been promoted to the head coaching position of the New York Islanders today.
Yep.
Also today,
news.
Maybe also Barry Trotz related.
Pete DeBoer has been relieved of duties as the head coach of the Golden Knights.
Yeah, I think they should have done that regardless.
Yeah.
I don't think DeBoer was just not having a good record. Well, he was getting into the playoffs, but then they were just kind of shit the bed in the playoffs.
DeBoer, in his career, has only failed up. He has never not been a head coach.
Yeah.
And he always gets teams that are stacked lines, and as soon as they run into depth problems, all of his weaknesses are exposed.
Yeah. I guess that's true. I don't know when he became the head coach of the Sharks, he was the head coach of before the Knights. But the Sharks were fairly stacked for a while.
Yes.
I don't remember how long he had been the coach there, but they had Thornton and Marlowe and their primes to like
Ward.
They had Joel Ward. They had Brett Burns.
Mm-hmm.
Pavelski, Couture, all of those guys. Yeah, no. So that was a stacked team, and then obviously Vegas is what Vegas is. But he has been relieved of his duties. I would imagine they're trying to take a swing at Trotz, but maybe not. I don't know.
My feelings is every single team is looking at Trotz, even if
I just want Trotz to leave our division.
Even if they don't have head coach problems, they're just like,
maybe
like Toronto. Toronto could be like, hey.
Ooh, Toronto could benefit from Trotz. I mean, there's only a few teams in the league where they're probably not thinking that, and that's, like Tampa Bay with John Cooper, probably the Penguins with Mike Sullivan. Maybe that's it.
I think that's
it.
I don't know if Cassidy's gone. This might be the last year of his contract.
He's still there in Boston, I think.
Right,
he hasn't. I haven't heard anything about his future yet. Maybe Gallant in the Rangers as well. He's a good coach, but
again, it might be the last year of Cassidy's contract.
Yeah.
I don't know if they re-sign him. So many teams are just like, what about Trotz?
Oh, we can have Trotz. Yeah, Trotz is like
because this elite.
Trotz is like the prom queen that showed up stag.
Yeah.
At the dance, So
this league, especially with head coaches, is extremely reactionary, and his past 4 years of it,
this isn't like the NFL where teams can have the same coach for nearly 20 years.
Only Pittsburgh does that, homie.
So does Baltimore.
We've only been around for 20 years.
Yeah, but John Harbaugh has been your coach, I think, for almost the same amount of time that Mike Tomlin has been the coach of the Steelers. Tomlin maybe a couple more years.
It's only been Billick and Harbaugh. That's it.
Oh yeah, Brian Billick before that. You've had 2 coaches. I mean, the Steelers have had 4, and that's in 70 years. Right. But you know, like Tomlin, Belichick too was another one. Harbaugh. You know, this isn't a football podcast, but my point was, you know, coaches get fired pretty quickly in the NHL a lot of times, and I'm a little worried the Penguins are going to make a mistake and fire Mike Sullivan. But you know, that's for them to decide, not me.
Wasn't Mike Sullivan a Caps head coach?
No.
I'm thinking of Cassidy.
Yeah.
Either way, they were both only head coach. If it was either one, it was only for like 6 months. They got fired real fast.
Yeah, I think Sullivan was definitely the head coach of Boston for a stretch.
That's also what I'm thinking of. That didn't last very long.
I think he was just the interim coach, maybe, but they did pretty well. I can't remember why he got fired there, but then I think he was on Vancouver, but I don't think he was the head coach. I think he was there with Tortorella.
Gotcha.
And that only lasted a year in Vancouver. But anyway, let's get to the series. So, I started these off. These are in order of when they ended, basically. So the first series that ended, if you guys remember last week, we mentioned that Colorado was gonna maybe sweep Nashville last Monday, and they did. In Game 4, Colorado won 5-3. JT Compher had 2 assists. Burakovsky had a goal and 2 assists. Makar had a goal and 2 assists. The only sweep of round 1, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the only series that ended in less than 6 games, too. But yeah, I mean, Cal Makar, what a series he had. He's a monster of a defenseman.
Alright, so we both said Colorado was going to beat Nashville.
I called it sweep.
You called it sweep, I said 5.
I think you did, yeah.
I gave Nashville too much.
I actually looked back, and there was a couple series that we each called correctly. There was one you called correctly, too. I can't remember what it was.
I called Florida in 6.
I think you did, yeah. Well, I can look back. Give me 1 second. But anyway, part of this is going to be we're going to just have a little bit of discussion about where we think the teams that got eliminated, what their offseason holds, very briefly. Obviously, at the end of the year, we'll have a more in-depth discussion about what we think is going to happen. But I called Calgary in 4, yeah. Ah, man, I'm so mad we were wrong about LA.
Well, I got 7 games.
I called St. Louis, too.
I called 7 games.
You did, that's true. You called Florida correctly. Toronto, so disappointing. You called Carolina correctly. Oh no, that went to 7. Never mind.
Yeah, that was really
that was it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, anyway.
We got more predictions to make. We got more
of course.
To make
today. Yeah, today. Yeah, Colorado pretty much in control of that entire series. The only game that was really close was Game 2, which I think was the overtime game. But yeah, Cal Makar, huge series. I mean, everybody on Colorado really had a pretty good series. Kemper will probably be fine to begin the next series.
With that eye injury.
Injury. Thankfully, it wasn't very serious. Just some...
So Nashville...
Puffy. Yeah, so Nashville...
Not looking good in the future.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Nashville. I don't feel like we should call up their cap figures or any of that, but I know that Philip Forsberg is a UFA at the end of this year. I know that they were talking about an extension, but
who knows?
He had such a good season, even though the last couple of years were kind of bad, but he has enough pedigree to his name now that he's going to command a lot of money.
Yep.
And somebody is going to give it to him. Some team that has a lot of cap space is going to give it to him. So I don't know.
It's whether or not he wants to stay in Nashville or he wants to chase some money.
Yeah.
Both are
valid. Both are valid. Yeah. Because sometimes when guys leave teams that they've been on for most if not all their career, for a big paycheck, sometimes fan bases will vilify those guys. I never feel that way. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, go make money.
Yeah.
I get it, Unfortunately, my team can't give that money to you, but go make that money somewhere else. 100%. It has always been what I felt like, but yeah, they're gonna lose Forsberg. I feel like among other players, probably. I don't know. Forsberg is their big UFA. I think Johansson's under contract. Him and Duchesne. I think him and Duchesne signed like 8-year contracts. Or he signed an 8-year contract, I think. I could be wrong, but...
Yeah, you're probably right.
So I think they're there. Now, granted, both of those guys had pretty good years. So they did have a good bounce back this year, but losing Forsberg is going to be hard. They lost Arvidsson last year as a cap casualty.
It's whether or not they want it, they want to just blow it up, start the rebuild now, or slide even farther.
We'll see. We'll see how things shake out in the offseason with where the Western Conference looks like, but they're probably first team out. They could probably get leapfrogged by one of the other teams that just missed the playoffs, like Vancouver or somebody like that.
Boudreaux.
They did. So good move, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know. Nashville's outlook looks a little bleak. I mean, I think they still could be a playoff team next year, especially if they bring back Forsberg. But they have to do some other stuff too. Yeah. Maybe a coaching change is in order as well.
Who knows?
Don't know. I mean, not having Saros for this entire series didn't help, but I don't think...
It wasn't going to win the series.
I think maybe they would have won one game.
Yep.
But it would not have really helped that much. So yeah, that's Nashville and Colorado. Colorado sweeps, moves on to the second round.
Let's go next.
And the team they will be facing in the second round is St. Louis, who beat Minnesota 4-2, beat them in 6 games.
You were right in saying those power play stats for Minnesota were going to bite him in the face.
Yep. Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, they had the worst penalty kill.
Yep.
In the playoffs, and I was correct that bit them in the. It also really didn't help. Well, let's go through their games just really quick. Game 5, going into this week, this series was tied at 2.
Yep.
In Game 5, St. Louis beat Minnesota 5-2.
Yeah.
Kaprizov had both goals for Minnesota. Tarasenko had a hat trick. Binnington, who came in Game 4, made 30 saves. Binnington looked great in this series after coming in for Husso. I wrote down Kaprizov's the only one doing anything.
Kaprizov, this series loss is no fault to him. He was
a monster.
Fire.
Oh yeah.
Even in the games where Game 6 where they lost 5-1, he was right there.
He was really the only one doing anything.
Yeah.
Well, no, I take that back. Joel Eriksson also played pretty well too, but other than them, meh.
Yeah. 100%.
No disrespect to Marc-Andre Fleury, but it's not his fault either.
They should have put in Talbot after Game 5.
They did put in Talbot in games. Oh yeah, they did put him in for Game 6, and they lost that game anyway. So whatever. Nick Leddy and Robert Bortuzzo both returned in Game 5, so I'm sure that helped quite a bit for St. Louis. And then in Game 6, St. Louis ran him out of the house 5-1.
Yep.
And that was obviously the end of the series. Perron had 2 assists. Perron, what a series he had.
His series was a monster.
Parayko had a goal and an assist. Binnington, 25 saves on 26 shots. For every one of these, the game that it ended, I just wrote knockout.
Yep.
Kaprizov had a huge series. He scored 7 goals, which is a Minnesota record.
Worth every penny of that contract so far.
Oh, yeah. Talbot played in Game 6 to no avail.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Minnesota's future here for a second.
They're
in trouble.
They're now in 3 years of cap hell.
Yeah, they're in trouble. Those buyouts for Parise and Suter are going to start just destroying them cap-wise. I think that eats $12 million or something like that of cap between the two of them.
For the next 3 years.
For the next 3 years. Then it gets a little bit better. I think it's the same thing the next 2 years, and the third year it's worse.
Yep.
And then it gets better, but there's still it's bad. Like I said at the beginning of the year, I don't know why they did both of them. Parise, I understand. They could have kept Suter.
They could have kept Suter. Also, apparently, he was not liked in the locker room at that point.
Sometimes. Well, yeah.
I heard he was kind of like everyone hated him.
Yeah, I mean, some guys are just abrasive like that. Yep. I don't know the dynamics of their locker room, obviously, but whenever I hear that about a guy that was in a leadership role for the team, so like a captain or alternate captain or whatever, and then they leave and they're like, yeah, everybody hated him. And like, well, yeah, he was probably in charge, and then he probably wasn't that good of a captain. Was he the captain? I think he was the captain. Yeah. He probably wasn't that good of a captain, right. So, but at the same, well, maybe that's why they did do both.
Exactly.
But yeah, they're in trouble.
I think the quote I saw was he complained about everything.
Yes, I think I saw that quote too. Yeah, he just complained about everything that was happening.
And then guys just got sick of it.
Yeah. Well, it sucks. I don't know what Minnesota's going to do. I mean, the cap is going up by $1 million next year, which is nice. Hey,
not helping Minnesota.
No. Hey, you know what? At least it's not going down. Mm-hmm. So COVID really messed with the NHL.
Yep.
Thankfully, they got this new TV deal that will eventually start bringing in a lot of money. Well, it is bringing in a lot of money to the league. Yeah. I think it'll take a couple of years for that to be reflected in the salary cap.
Right.
Just because they have to make up for money that they lost for those basically season and a half that got messed up by COVID. Yeah. So, but anyway, it's going up by $1 million, so that's 82.5 that it'll be next year. But that's not really helping Minnesota at all. I don't know. I don't know who their big. I don't know what big UFAs they have, but Marc-Andre Fleury's not going to be back. He might just retire.
He said he was willing, but who knows?
I doubt he's
just saying that.
Yeah, I think he's probably just saying. He's a very polite man, so I think he's just saying that.
Yeah.
I don't know. They need to upgrade.
Back to mediocrity for them.
Yeah, I think their center depth really hurt them as well. Joel Eriksson Ek, he proved me wrong at the beginning of the year because they signed him to a long contract, which I was fine with, but I think I remember saying he's their top center. I was like, is he a top center? He did play like one this year. He had a very good year, so proved me wrong. But past him, I don't think I could tell you who one of their centers is. So, I mean, they have Kaprizov, so Kaprizov, I believe, had 40 goals this year, 50 goals. He had 100 points, I know that. He had somewhere between 40 and 50 goals, I think, but had 100 points. He's an electric player. Mm-hmm. He will win you some games. You have some good defensemen, but you can't sign anybody this offseason. You can't get any free agents unless
you don't have any picks.
You don't have any picks. So, good luck. Unfortunately, this might have been your one shot to make a deep playoff run, and you lost in the first round.
I heard the head coach complain about the special teams over the series.
You're the coach.
Exactly.
Do it better then. And I know that's easier said than done for a coach because you have to get the guys to listen to you, but don't complain about your own special teams when you're the coach.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
You might just complain yourself out of a job right there.
Yeah. Let me just bitch about me, basically. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess not every head coach totally controls all of the special teams and all of that, but still.
Yeah, but
it's so funny. You'd be like, well, our special teams were bad. Just like, yeah. What?
You're in charge of the assistant coaches.
Are you pitching for you to be fired?
Right.
Then? What's your deal? I wonder where my dog went.
In your bedroom.
I think she's sleeping. She likes looking out that back window. So yeah, that's that for Minnesota. Good luck.
Yeah.
We'll see what you do in the off season. So moving on to another series that ended in 6 games.
Like I said, I was trying to talk a little bit about each series.
Go ahead.
One, Colorado just dominated. Again, Nashville was missing their starting goalie. Wouldn't have helped in the long run.
No.
Colorado's just better.
That might have pushed it to 5.
But
maybe. Might have still been a sweep, even with Saros.
For the next series,
Minnesota versus St. Louis.
St. Louis just also kicked it into another gear.
It was
very
it looked pretty even through those 4 games because It was basically, I think St. Louis won game 1. Minnesota essentially blew them out the next 2 games.
Yep.
And then St. Louis worked back. Bennington had a good game, they just outworked them, and then the next 2 games they outworked him again.
Yeah.
And again, Kaprizov was the only one who did anything for Minnesota. Him and Eriksson Ek were the only ones that did anything.
So the St. Louis Colorado series is going to be very good.
Yeah,
it's going to be very good.
It's gonna be something. We'll see. There's still something in the back of my head that's nagging at me that Colorado's gonna mess up somehow.
I agree.
Because they're obviously a huge favorite to come out of the West.
If they buy into their own hype, they're done.
That's the problem, yeah. But
this year, they're a team that keeps getting bounced for buying into their own hype.
Exactly. But this year they were so dominant, so yeah, it's the same feeling I have about we'll talk about that team right now. Same feeling I have about Florida, but for the first time since the 1998 playoffs, Florida won a playoff series.
Yes.
They bounced Washington in 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
My condolences.
They came back in every single game.
They did. Unfortunately, going into this week, Washington was up 2-1, I think surprising a lot of people. But I remember us discussing this series, and I said, Washington does have more playoff experience, so that could work in their favor, and it did. They won 2 games, which I think was more than some people thought they might win.
Yep.
But unfortunately, Florida came back in all 3 of these games this week.
Yes.
They won Game 4 in overtime, 3-2. Verhaeghe scored the game-winning goal. Remember that name. TJ Oshie had a goal and an assist. Ekblad had 2 assists.
He now gives me nightmares.
I bet.
I mean, he was a problem from Game 1.
Verhaeghe is very good.
He's in Game 1 of that series. It's just this dude's an issue.
Yeah. Well, the thing about this game was Washington was leading until I think 3 minutes left in the game or something like that.
Yeah.
They were leading 2-1, and they only had in this whole game, including overtime, they only had 16 shots, which is nuts. And it's nuts that they were leading at a certain point. But Florida tied it late. I believe it was Bennett who tied it late, and then Verhaeghe scored in overtime to win. Yeah, it's really hard to win games when you only get 16 shots. They almost did it. But next game, Game 5, Florida won 5-3. Washington was up 3-0 in this game.
Up 3-0. That game they would have been up 4-0. Goal was called off. Oh, excuse me. Goal was called off due to offsides correctly. And then that just seemed to take all the wind out of their sails. And
they just let Florida right back in the game.
Yeah.
Remember at the beginning, or getting close to the playoffs, Florida kept coming back from multi-goal deficits to win, and we were like, you cannot keep doing this.
Well, they did it.
Apparently they can at least do it against Washington. TJ Oshie, to his credit, had two of those 3 goals for Washington. Verhaeghe, 2 goals and 3 assists in this game. Claude Giroux had a goal and an assist as well. So, yeah. Verhaeghe is a cap killer.
If I wasn't pissed, it would have been super impressive.
Yeah. And then, finally, Game 6. Went to overtime again.
Yes, it did.
4-3 Florida win. You know who scored that overtime game winner?
I know who scored it.
Verhaeghe. Yeah. He had a goal and an assist in that game.
This one, the Caps actually came back.
Yes, the Caps fought back and tied this game to send it to overtime.
TJ Oshie had an amazing series.
Yeah, he did. TJ Oshie had, do I have it written down? Yeah, 6 goals and an assist in this series. Yep. Really good series. Verhaeghe, such a monster these last 3 games, especially. Yeah. There's not much else to say, really.
I mean, I watched a lot of the series.
Apparently, Ovi was playing hurt.
Of course. Yeah. Everyone's playing hurt.
Obviously, Tom Wilson got knocked out with a significant knee injury. Was that Game 1?
Game 1.
Yeah. So that's say what you want about Tom Wilson. He is a good hockey player. People hate him for various reasons. He is a good power forward, though. You can't take that away from him.
Missed him on the penalty kill. Oh, I wouldn't say missed him on the penalty kill. They were 0-17 on the power play.
Yeah, there you go.
Small victories.
Silver linings. Small victories.
For a lot of this series, Washington seemed to control.
Mm-hmm.
But then lapses in defense or some
and then Florida jumped right on it. Yeah.
And Florida punished them every single time.
Yep. So that's the thing with a team that has as much firepower as Florida does. If you make one mistake, it's in the net.
And then
especially if your goalies aren't really playing that well.
And they can compound to.
And then they they get all of the momentum from it, and then they just fight right back. So Washington moving forward, who are their big free agents?
Most of our free agents aren't
like big time, like not huge losses if you lost them.
No, they're not.
Isn't Schultz's right?
Schultz is gone.
Yeah. But he hasn't. I haven't really heard anything about him since he got there.
He started very well.
Yeah. I remember he played really well.
These last couple of months.
Yeah.
These last couple of months have not been good for him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
He had those golden couple seasons with the Penguins, and then he just regressed to where he was before.
I completely forgot their big free agents, but none of them are like super big losses.
It's not like Backstrom or anybody like that, right?
Well, Backstrom just resigned. Backstrom is actually a question mark.
Really?
Yes, that hip injury was still a problem. So he might.
I see.
It's what's he going to do? Is he going to retire? Is he going to spend?
Or is he going to LTIR?
LTIR because he did just resign the contract.
Well, that's what kind of comes into question of what the team really wants to do too, because they have to pay out that contract,
right?
And there is such a thing as a retirement recapture, I think, where. It's not the full effect. I don't remember how it all works, but
he was unfortunately a liability defensively this series. He was.
That's unfortunate.
One of the slowest guys out there.
When you have a hip injury, it's hard to move.
Obviously,
yeah.
Moving forward, if that's a skating ability going forward, he's someone that you could put on the fourth line and put him on the power play. That's what you can do with him.
Could be, yeah.
He's a high-priced fourth liner / power play
But
specialist.
I mean, he's done so much for this team.
I think it's worth it personally.
Or it's either that, or he goes on LTIR, and until they close that loophole, teams can use it.
Well,
so
he can still his passing ability is still there. It's all
all
still there.
His playmaking ability is still there. It's just the movement that's not there.
Yeah. So put him on. And the Capitals' power play this playoff series hurt without him.
Yeah.
So
true.
He's still very good. He's vital for the Capitals in certain ways if they can accommodate that injury. Or he takes a year off to actually heal.
That could help. I mean, I feel like if I was the Capitals and this guy was like, I need a whole year to recuperate, but I'll be back. I'd be like, we'll put you on LTIR. You can come back.
It was a 3-year deal. 1 year gone to LTIR.
It's fine. It's fine if he goes on the LTIR. 100%. Honestly. So, I don't know. We'll see what they can do in the offseason. I don't know how much cap space that they really have.
I mean, the noticeable free agent is Ovechkin. Since
I thought he resigned for some reason.
He didn't. So far, they've basically been like, it's not going to be a problem.
Well, he's either going to play in Washington or he's going to go back to Russia. That's kind of where it is right now.
He's hunting that goal record.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll re-sign him.
I mean,
to some reasonable deal.
I know this isn't like a player standpoint, but most fans, now that they won the cup, you don't care what happens. Let them if it slides off, as long as they're chasing the open gold record.
I mean, he had 50 goals this year.
Exactly.
So,
that's really all that we care about. We want the goal record.
Yeah. And if he plays 4 more years at like a 35 goal pace or something like that, he catches them. So.
Oh wait, he did sign that contract. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I could have sworn he signed something.
It was 5 years. I was stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, for some reason I thought he signed a 5-year deal.
I'm just an idiot. But that's really it.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see what they can do in the offseason. Again, we'll go more in depth on everybody at the end of the year.
The other issue is Karlsson was a big liability defensively.
Was he? That's no good.
A lot of those goals were on Karlsson.
That's no good.
That was the defensive lapse.
That's your number one defenseman right there.
Defenseman is Faravari, actually. He turned up. He's our guy going forward.
Yeah. Oh, that's good, at least.
But for $8 million for Karlsson, that's going to be...
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe he can have a bounce-back year next year. Maybe it's just an aberration, but... no. Okay. No. Obviously, you've watched more Capitals games than I have, but... yeah, we'll see. So that's Caps. Knocked out in the first round. Hey, Caps and Penguins, neither one has gotten to the second round since 2018.
Bros for life.
Hey... These teams are, intertwined together. Really. It's so weird.
Can we not be fans of rival teams that are intertwined?
No, clearly we can't, because you're from Baltimore, exactly. I'm from Pittsburgh, so that's how it is. Because even though both of our baseball teams aren't exactly great, they played each other in the World Series 50-something years ago at this point, so they're kind of rivals from back then. All right, let's move on to the Heartbreak Series.
Oh, bud.
Toronto and Tampa Bay.
I do want to talk about Toronto going forward.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of... That's going to be a big topic of discussion
moving forward. Of course, because they're Toronto.
Yeah. So, this game went the distance, the series went the distance, went to 7 games.
It went more than the distance. And nope, never mind, sorry. Nope. Thinking of another series.
This one went as far as it could, 7 games. Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay won.
Yes.
The 2 times defending Cup champs beat Toronto in the first round. And Toronto, I will give them credit. I wouldn't say they really blew this series like they have in the past. They were in this the entire time.
This was incredibly even. This is what I wanted to talk about. In the past couple of years, when they've gotten behind, or like a end the series type of game, or Game 7, getting lost, you could see more panic.
Yeah.
Or just
they didn't know what to do.
Not even, or just looked like they already lost.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see that this time. This Game 7, they were in. They
were
fighting.
in it. It was a very close game.
They did not roll over and die.
No. So let's go through it real quick. Game 5, Toronto won 4-3. Kucherov had 2 assists. Nylander goal, 2 assists. Tavares had a goal and an assist. Matthews had a great goal late in the game. I think with 4 or 5 minutes left, which was the game-winning goal.
Yep.
Tampa Bay blew a 2-goal lead in that game.
Yeah, they did.
Moving on to Game 6, Tampa Bay won in overtime, 4-3. Tavares had 2 goals. Nylander 2 assists. And Point, who won the game in overtime for Tampa Bay, had a goal and an assist.
Yeah.
Moving on to Game 7. This was such a close game. Low scoring, too.
I watched the entire thing.
2-1 Tampa Bay victory at the end. Toronto had plenty of chances. Vasilevsky played very well, as he always does in
not as good as his previous Game 7s.
No shutouts. Yeah, not a shutout this time, but only 1 goal. Nick Paul killed him. Out of nowhere, scored both goals for Tampa Bay.
That second goal was
and he almost scored a third one too.
Yeah.
Where he crashed into the net.
Did you see that second goal?
Yeah.
Foot pass to himself.
Mm-hmm. It was a beauty. Morgan Riley scored the goal for Toronto. Vasilevsky had 30 saves. Yeah. Toronto, very devastated by the loss.
Of course.
Guys were tearing up.
But it's they've been in this position before. They keep losing in the first round.
Yeah.
Brutally. But this is the one that...
I felt like this was the closest one, really.
Exactly. This is the one that they grow from.
Hopefully.
If anything.
Hopefully.
Just that core, yes, they're getting older, whatever. That's not... They're not that 30.
Old. Yeah, they're not that old.
They're not just rolling over and dying.
No, especially not in this one. They fought till the end. They had plenty of scoring chances in that third period.
Vasilevsky
just shut them down.
Just locked in.
Yeah.
It was a very good game.
Yeah.
There's so many what ifs just in the first series. First series that Hathaway makes that empty net goal in Game 4. Mm-hmm. If Matthews doesn't lose that edge in that overtime goal,
yeah.
But either way, Toronto has nothing to.
They should be proud. of their performance in this series. Now, again, this is the 2-time defending champion Tampa Bay. Just because they're not in first place doesn't mean that they're not a really good team. Toronto
only 4 points separated them from the regular season.
Yeah. Toronto should be proud of themselves, but I know something's going to happen in Toronto this offseason.
They've already gotten their scapegoats. They got Hull. They got Nylander.
Yep.
They honestly should scapegoat Tavares a little bit, but they're not going to.
They can't get rid of that contract.
No, not at all.
A big problem for them in the offseason is Jack Campbell is a free agent.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, they have time to re-sign him. They should re-sign him. He played great for them this year.
Shalgren played very well, too. So, who knows if... I don't think
they have to get rid of Mrazek's contract.
They can do that.
I don't know that they can. He was put on waivers a couple of times.
That is true.
And no one took him. It's not a huge contract, but it's like $3.5 million or something like that. That's enough for a goalie that really doesn't pull his weight in Mrazek anymore, and or at least isn't pulling his weight on Toronto. But I don't know. I think I read earlier today they have something like $8 million in cap space going into the offseason. That's enough to sign Jack Campbell. It's not enough to sign Jack Campbell and then address other issues.
Right. Also,
so there's gonna have to be some other guys gone, and obviously the easy one to pick out of that is probably Willie Nylander.
I was about to say Nylander probably gets traded
because his contract I think is $7 million for at least a couple more years.
It's not bad.
That's not that bad. He's a good player. Somebody would take him in a trade.
100%.
Especially in the off season, somebody would take the contract in the trade. But I don't know how much does that affect your team.
We'll see the moves.
I think there's going to be a lot of movement in Toronto this year, shipping guys out to try to freshen up the team. Basically, I wouldn't be shocked if Keefe is also gone.
Right.
This is another team that could take a run at Trotz.
You get a defensive first.
You have the superstars. You have Matthews. You have Marner. You have Tavares to a certain extent.
And Matthews' defense has already improved.
Oh yeah, dramatically.
In the past year.
Yeah, this season he was great on defense.
He could possibly get a Selke.
Maybe in the future.
I mean, Bergeron. We'll talk about
until Bergeron's out of the league. It's really hard for other people to get trophies because the media also loves Bergeron.
Yeah, well, they should.
No, he's a great player. But yeah,
it's
I don't know. Obviously, Matthews isn't going anywhere. I doubt Marner is going anywhere. No one's going to take Tavares' contract.
Marner played outstanding.
Yeah, Marner played great. So did Matthews.
Defensively and offensively, Marner got all those monkeys off of his back.
Yeah.
He was excellent.
And Matthews played fantastic in the playoffs, too. Both of them were question marks going in because they were kind of not that great in the playoffs in recent years, but they both played great this year.
Yep.
Tavares was there.
He improved over the course of the series.
Yeah, he did get 2 goals in Game 6, but I don't know. Not enough to. What's his contract? $11 million or something
11
like
and
that?
a half?
I think it's 11, and then I think Matthews is 11 and a half, and then Marner is 10 or something like that.
I think Marner's is 11 and a half too.
No, his was a little lower. His was 10.25 or something like that. But anyway, that's $35 million right there between those guys.
We had this
cap space.
We had this in the earlier episode. They have 40% of their cap in 3 guys.
Yeah. So I don't think that's sustainable. And really, of the 3 of them, Tavares is the one that I don't know why you signed that contract.
No.
Because it's a big flashy name, but since he's gotten to Toronto, he has been he's been overshadowed by Matthews the entire time. And
when you got,
I don't know.
Excuse me. When you got reports that Spezza's doing more firing up your team than your captain.
Tavares is the captain
exactly.
Too. Yeah, I don't know. No one's gonna take that Tavares contract. Not all of it, anyway. You could maybe retain 50% and then move him, but
they're going to the playoffs next year.
Yeah, I would think so. They're not a bad team by any means. But
it's whether or not they can make another.
They got to get that monkey off their back, and I don't know. A shakeup, I think, is in order, but I don't know. We can't predict the future. Moving on, though. Do you guys like that paper noise?
Old school
paper noise. To the Carolina-Boston series. Carolina took it in 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God. Of all of the teams, I think nobody wanted to see go to the second round, and the Capitals and Penguins were probably in there too.
I mean, I wanted for your series, I wanted them both to lose.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's not possible though.
I don't think anybody wanted to see Boston go to the second round, especially when they're up against a young, exciting team like Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
A franchise that until like last year really wasn't making the playoffs and was kind of like flaming out and all of that. But
it's been like 3 years since Carolina started making the playoffs consistently.
Has it been?
Yeah.
I thought it was just last year that they made it.
No? 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Oh, well. My life is a blur at this point. Anyway, so coming into this week, this series was tied at 2.
Mm-hmm.
The home team won every game of this series leading into this week. And guess what? It kept happening.
Yep.
The home team won every single game this series.
It's a good thing home ice advantage was a thing.
Yeah, truly.
For Carolina.
So Carolina gets that in the next series too.
Mm-hmm.
And will have that unless they play Florida.
Yes.
Or Colorado.
Yeah.
Right? So Calgary was the other division winner, and I think they had a better record than Calgary. Anyway, Game 5 in Carolina. Carolina won 5-1. Trocheck had a goal and 2 assists. Seth Jarvis, their standout rookie, had 2 goals. The Carolina standout rookie had 2 goals.
Jarvis is only a rookie?
I think so. Or he's a very young player. Maybe he played last year. Maybe he's not a rookie, but he's a younger player.
Yeah.
Teravainen had 3 assists. D'Angelo had a goal and 2 assists. And Antti Ranta, who
is back.
Was this his return game?
No.
I can't remember, but he was back from injury.
Yep. It depends on when he got injured.
Yeah. I don't remember.
If it was game 2, then
I want to say it was game 2. No, I think it was game 1 he got injured.
Then he had been back already.
And then he didn't play in game 2 because the backup won.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to say he came back in game 4.
Yeah.
And they still lost that game, obviously. But he had 33 saves in this game. And Charlie McAvoy returned. If you remember, he was on the COVID protocol, but I guess he didn't actually test positive for COVID. That's good.
He played well.
McAvoy.
Yes.
Yeah, did play well. In a 5-1 loss, as much as a defenseman.
And also for the rest of the series.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
He played that very well.
Heading back to Boston for Game 6, Boston won 5-2.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Coyle and Brad Marchand each had a goal and an assist in that game. Thomas Nosek had 2 assists.
Mm-hmm.
And Swayman made 23 saves. Again, only 25 shots for Carolina. That's a low number. Yeah. And I wrote down the home team has won every game so far.
Yep.
And then in Game 7, back in Carolina, the home team won again.
Thank Christ.
For the knockout. Carolina won 3-2 in this game. McAvoy had 2 assists. I almost said Ty Domi. Max Domi had 2 goals and an assist in that game.
Well, Boston brought it close. They scored an empty net
goal.
They did.
They scored late in the game, but Carolina hold them off.
They almost tied it.
They came close, but they didn't score on an empty net. They scored with an empty net.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah. Teravainen also had a goal and an assist in this game. But yeah, home team won every game. It's crazy. It's really funny when that happens in series.
Yeah.
It's just like home field advantage is
a thing. There's also times where home is lava and you never win at home.
Yeah.
Those are always fun.
I hate those ones. But yeah, let's talk about Boston future. Specifically, Patrice Bergeron is a free agent.
He's a free agent. Everyone gave him hugs like he was going to retire.
Maybe. I don't know. He's not crazy old. But he's like 35 or 36 at this point, I think.
He might be like 38.
I don't think he's 38.
Either way.
Yeah.
How do you not re-sign him?
Oh, no. I think Boston will re-sign him. I don't think he goes anywhere else.
People were talking about this being his last game in general, as retirement.
Maybe. I think he either re-signs in Boston or retires. I don't think he's going to go anywhere else.
No.
I really don't. He's like obviously, he's a legendary Bruins player. If he retired, I would think they would retire his number.
Oh, yeah, he's only 36. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I don't see him going anywhere else.
No.
He's been their captain since Chara left. Won a cup there, went to 2 other cup finals there. He's an amazing player.
He's the one Boston player I can't hate, even though he plays for Boston.
He's not a dirty player. No. Of all of the Boston players, he is not a dirty player. Won multiple Selkies. I think probably goes to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, his career.
Yeah. Obviously gets his number retired in Boston. Mm-hmm. So I think he either re-signs at a reasonable contract in Boston or he retires.
Yeah.
That's the only 2 options. I've seen people be like, "Oh, Montreal might sign him in the offseason." Like, "Oh, is it because he's French-Canadian, really?"
The hell they will.
I think he would want to go there. He's played for Boston his entire career, and even if he was a Habs fan when he was a baby, that probably doesn't matter now. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm sure if he is back, he'll be on Boston. Yeah, I would think. I don't really know what their other free agents are moving forward. I don't think they have that many, actually.
No, they don't, but I think Boston's in the same boat as the Caps and Penguins. Their core is getting older.
Yeah, their core is older. They don't know what to really do.
They're going to keep kicking the tires while the core is still there.
Probably, yeah.
And once those main guys retire, that's when the rebuild happens.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah, Boston, Pittsburgh, and Washington are basically in the same realm. Mm-hmm. They had tremendous success with their cores, and they don't really want to screw their cores over.
Right.
So they're like, just play out. It's
exactly.
fine. And we'll be fine. Because honestly, even if any of those 3 teams are average, even if they miss the playoffs, all 3 of them are probably still going to be in the playoff hunt next year. Maybe even make the playoffs.
I think in 2 years the Capitals miss the playoffs. I think they will make it next year.
I imagine the Penguins are probably somewhere too. The Penguins, we'll get to them in a second.
The Capitals aren't blowing it up until Ovechkin retires.
And I don't think Boston will do that either until Bergeron retires, and then maybe also Marchand retires. After that, they'll probably be like...
They might have to blow it up before Marchand retires.
Yeah, Marchand's a little bit younger.
I don't know if he's hit 30 yet.
I'm pretty sure he has. I want to. He's in his lower 30s, but yeah, who knows? At that point, they might trade Marchand, but or maybe not, or maybe they'll be like, just play out your contract. It's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. This was a fun series. This was a very back and forth series.
Oh, I'm completely. He's 34. Where?
Oh, is he 34? Okay.
He's older than I thought.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I thought he was in his 30s. I was gonna guess 33, so I was close.
I was gonna guess 30.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been around longer than you think.
But in my mind, it could have been one of those 18-year-olds that started right out the gate. Has been playing for forever.
I don't think he did.
No, he did. But
yeah.
But that could be a possibility.
I feel you. Yeah. Boston's outlook in the future, they could still make the playoffs next year, as could the Capitals, as could the Penguins.
Yeah.
But they're all kind of in the same boat. They're like the old timers of the Eastern Conference at this point.
When the Panthers knocked out the Capitals, I saw a meme where it was a computer screen and it was the Washington logo. Someone right-clicked it and said "close window." It was very funny.
Oh yeah. I get it.
Close that window. It's over.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Boston specifically. If Bergeron comes back next year, I still think they're a pretty strong team. Even if he doesn't come back, they're still a pretty strong team.
They'll definitely push for the playoffs.
If he retires, then they have whatever his cap hit is, money to play with, along with whatever other money they have. So I don't think there's any big time free agents this year. But they could probably pull one or two guys to help fill that role. But
they're going to trade DeBrusque, so they're going to get something from him.
After they re-signed him too, that was so weird.
It was.
I think they were trying to trade. Obviously, I think they're still going to trade. They're going to trade him, but
when you have it's easier to trade someone
with contract,
set value, So, and DeBrusque actually played pretty well this series.
Yeah, he played all right. He played okay the last couple of months of the year. Yeah. So I think they'll probably trade him maybe at the draft or something like that for something, maybe a third or fourth round pick or something like that. But
yeah,
they'll have a little money to play with, especially if Bergeron retires. But yeah, I don't know. That's a series.
Yeah,
it was a fun series, back and forth. Some cheap shittiness in there, but that's all of the series. That's every playoff.
You love to see teams hate each other.
Yeah, you love to see it. Love to see the hate flow through them. Speaking of hate,
next,
Edmonton versus LA. LA, you disappointed us. Well, Edmonton won in 7 games.
This is what Edmonton should have done. This is what Edmonton. Everyone's like, if they played how they should, they should beat LA. They did that.
Yeah.
So good on Edmonton.
They maybe should have beaten LA sooner.
But talk about that playoff experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing to play for, and
that is true. That is true. So I think
Johnny Quick.
as I think we said in our playoff preview, LA should have just been happy to be in the playoffs, basically, because this is kind of an overachieving year for LA with all of their younger guys and all of their older dudes. So, hey, they took Edmonton to 7 games. And who knows? Edmonton might go to the Stanley Cup Finals. Who knows? But let's start Game 5 in Edmonton. LA won 5-4 in overtime. Adrian Kempe had 2 goals and an assist, including that game winner. Troy Stecher had a goal and an assist. Draisaitl, 2 goals and an assist. McDavid, a goal and 2 assists. Did you see the highlights of this game?
Yes, I did.
Kempe just walked in and scored.
It
was around Duncan Keith.
Yep.
He just walked right around or skated right around Duncan Keith and just scored in overtime.
Yep.
And it was like a minute into overtime, and everybody was like, "Did anybody tell Edmonton that they had started overtime?"
Well, I saw people blaming McDavid because with his speed he should have caught Kempe.
Maybe.
But also if McDavid was playing his guy on the center, so if he had gone to chase Kempe,
he would have been out of position.
He would have, and Kempe would have passed to the slot to score.
It was not McDavid's fault.
No, God, no.
No, it was 100% Duncan Keith's fault, who should retire, honestly. No hate to Duncan Keith. But, whatever. Darnell Nurse also headbutted Philip Deneau in this game.
He got suspended for a game.
And he got suspended for a game for it.
I forgot that was that game.
Yeah.
And it was an egregious headbutt.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing.
It wasn't like, maybe it was a headbutt. It was a headbutt.
Right.
He, rammed his skull right into his Deneau's chin.
Yeah.
It was face. Bad. It was bad. Moving on to Game 6. Edmonton took this one 4-2.
Yes, they did. They dominated.
They did. Patrick Kane had 2 goals and an assist. I think one of those was an empty net goal.
Yes.
And McDavid had a goal and 2 assists.
Yeah.
There's not much else to say about that game.
No.
Moving on to Game 7. Edmonton won in a shutout.
They dominated that one, too.
Yes.
McDavid turned it on to another level.
Yes, he did. Goal and an assist for McDavid in this game. Mike Smith, obviously, 29 save shutout. That's it.
Yeah.
LA's future, I think, is bright. Obviously, Dustin Brown is retiring.
Next up for his number is the Rafters.
Yeah. They still have Kopitar around. Doughty is around. Also, Doughty didn't even play in this series, so who knows if he was there, they might have won this series.
Exactly. Game 7, anything could happen.
Yeah, their younger guys have really taken a step forward. I think they'll keep taking a step forward. I think LA will probably make the playoffs next year, too.
I don't know.
We'll see. There's a lot of uncertainty with younger teams.
They overachieved this year, so they might take a step back
next year. But they're in a fairly weak Pacific Division.
But
Vegas is there,
a new coach, Vancouver, it could be a whole thing. If they send 4, maybe. If it's 4-4 with Central and Pacific, maybe LA goes. But who really knows?
We'll see.
Yep.
So moving on to our next series. I think it was a good effort for LA in that series. Really good.
100%.
Really good. They should be happy that they made it. some of those younger guys some playoff experience. Mm-hmm. Nearly beat Edmonton.
Edmonton got that monkey off their back.
They did, for now.
They needed a win.
They did. They got it. They needed a win. They got it. So moving on to our next series that breaks my heart. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers. The Rangers won in 7 games after the Penguins were up 3-1.
Yep. If I had a nickel every time the Rangers beat the Penguins in the playoff series down 1-3, I'd have 2 nickels.
Yeah, you would have 2 nickels, yeah.
Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it keeps happening.
But it's weird that it happened twice.
Yep.
In the last 10 years, yes. At least, yeah. So, going into this week, Pittsburgh was up 2-1 in the series. Mm-hmm. They won Game 4 7-2. Yeah, they dominated that game. They chased Shesterkin again for the second straight game. Crosby had a goal and 2 assists. Gensel had a goal and an assist. Louis Domingue had 22 saves. Yep. Charlie Lindgren did not play. He was part of their top pairing defenseman. Yeah. He was hurt. But yeah, Pittsburgh just stomped them in that game. In Game 5, Pittsburgh was winning, but they ended up losing 5-3.
Yep.
Gensel had 2 goals. Trouba had a goal and an assist. Shesterkin made 29 saves in this game.
This is when it started getting really chippy.
Yes. Especially because Jake Trouba elbowed Jake Gensel in the head.
In the first minute
of the game. And then also he elbowed Sidney Crosby in the head. Now there is debate whether that was on purpose or not, but it happened. And Crosby was knocked out of this game.
And Game 6.
But it was a good bounce back for Shesterkin.
Yes.
Playing at home, he got his mojo back.
It did seem like Trouba's stick got tangled, which sent the elbow up.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
I'm not really sure if he 100% meant to do that.
Oh, I don't think he did.
Yeah.
The Gensel one he should have been suspended for.
The Gensel, that was pretty bad.
He got called for it.
It's bad that it's extra bad that he only got 2 minutes for that.
Right.
Yeah. And I think elbowing should be an automatic major. You should not be elbowing anybody.
I agree. It's
for any reason.
It's hard because sometimes where sticks get tangled, an elbow does come up.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. But that was not the case with that hit. No.
Not the first one. The second one, yes.
The second one, yeah, you could argue that. But the one on Crosby, you could argue. But the one on Gensel, no. He meant to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on to Game 6. Oh, Pittsburgh blew a lead in Game 5. I think they were up 3-1?
I believe they were.
I think it was 3-1, and they blew that, and obviously lost 5-3. In Game 6, they might have been up 3-0 in that game.
Oh, it sounds like a Washington Panthers game.
Yeah. In Game 6, you've heard it before, the Rangers won 5-3.
Yes.
Chris Kreider had 2 goals. Fox had 4 assists.
Mm-hmm.
Zibanejad had 2 goals and 2 assists. No Crosby in this game.
Nope.
After that hit from Trouba, Brian Boyle also got injured in this game. Pittsburgh, once again, blew at least a 2-goal lead.
Yes.
I think they were up 2-0. And they blew that. Yeah. You know what? No hate to Louis Domingue. He gave up a really terrible goal. That put the Rangers up 4-3 in that game.
We'll finish the series.
Okay, let's finish the series. Game 7 went to overtime. Rangers won 4-3.
Yes.
Zibanejad had a goal and 2 assists. Panarin had the overtime game-winning goal. Hey, Evan Rodriguez had a great game, goal and an assist.
Going to OT, Game 7, anything can happen.
Crosby, Raquel, and Jari all returned for this game.
Yes.
But, obviously the Penguins lost anyway. And, yeah, that's that. You know what? I don't want to hate on Louis Domingue.
We've also talked... Most of our thoughts about this series, we mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
Again, with the what if Crosby doesn't miss Game 5 or 6, what happens with this series?
If the Penguins had DeSmith this series, if they had Jari this series.
Dominating these first 4 games.
Oh, yeah. First 5 games. He was dominating Game 5, too, and then they got knocked out.
The Rangers play a very pass-heavy offense, and he would just throw his stick in there to
take it away.
Yeah. So, losing Crosby was a big blow to Pittsburgh. Yes. Also, they were playing a third-string goalie. And Louis Domingue did his role very well. Some lapses in defense for just a short period of time with Pittsburgh, and that's what did him in.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Louis Domingue
is a third-string goalie.
He's a third-string goalie. He's a minor league goalie.
Mm-hmm.
He played valiantly. He won 3 games, but
you can't ask anything more. You
can't really.
It's just
there's no room to shit on Louis Domingue for this.
It's just
it's bad scenarios. Yeah, DeSmith had that random ass injury where he tore something in his core in game 1,
and that's it
in double overtime, and that was it. Once they went up 3 games to 1, I was like, how are they winning this with Louis Domingue? And then they lost 3 straight games.
Exactly.
I'm like, there we go. Now Jarry did play in game 7. Jarry played okay in game 7, but he hadn't played since April 14th or something like that. So,
exactly. So he
what are you gonna do?
Again,
as the Penguins,
he pushed it to overtime.
Yeah,
like
Jarry played fine.
Domingue got you to game 7.
Yeah.
So
and that overtime goal was also a power play goal. So
it's a lot.
Yeah, it sucks.
So,
it sucks as a Penguins fan. Now moving forward, the Penguins have a lot of big free agents this year. Malkin is a free agent.
Yep.
Letang is a free agent. Brian Rust is an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah.
So those are 3 huge players for the Penguins to potentially lose.
We'll see what they do.
We'll see. I've seen reports of Malkin saying that he would take less money to stay, but I don't know how less money.
Right.
Malkin hasn't been great the last couple of years, so
and he's really dropped off this year.
Yeah, he didn't do a whole lot in the playoffs. If he does take a significant pay cut, then I'm fine with him coming back.
They might let him walk.
But it depends on how much of a pay cut that is.
Yeah.
I believe his current contract is $9.5 million. No way they give him that much.
What do you think? 6?
I was thinking I wouldn't give him any more than 5. But he might be okay with that.
Right.
I saw him.
It's one of those things
said at some point.
It's $5 million a year. That's life-changing money.
Yeah, and I mean, all of these guys are millionaires. Don't really have to worry about money for the most part.
Right.
Malkin, I think, is very stable in his financials, and I know that he's done interviews where they asked about his contract, and he was like, "The money doesn't really matter to me anymore." Right. So, I don't know. I don't think I would give him any more than $5 million, but I'm not running the Penguins.
Yep.
So, Letang, I would love for them to bring back, but he might want too much.
Yeah.
Because he's had a great year.
Yep.
He played fantastically. He has lapses in judgment here and there, but, every player does. But a team that I think might throw a ton of money at him is Montreal.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if they let him walk. I believe, I was looking at Cap Friendly earlier because I was like, what the fuck are the Penguins going to do? And I believe the Penguins have $28 million in cap space. So they have quite a lot of cap space.
Yeah, that's a good amount.
So theoretically, they probably could re-sign Letang, Malkin, and Rust. That would eat up most of that $28 million.
Right.
Rust, again, is a guy that somebody might throw him so much money that the Penguins cannot match that.
I think they do.
One team that I saw one of the Penguins reporters suggest is he's from Detroit, and Detroit might be like, oh, here's $8 million a year.
And I can't go for that.
Oh yeah, and I would not. I wouldn't begrudge him that if he was like, I'm going to go chase my one big paycheck, because right now his contract is $3.5 million. He deserves way more than that. He's a multiple 30-goal scorer.
Exactly.
So I don't know. We'll have to see what the Penguins do. They might let all 3 of them walk and then just reconfigure the entire team.
Yeah.
Who knows? There's some pundits that are like, fire Sullivan. I'm like, don't fire Sullivan. Don't fire Sullivan. Please don't fire Sullivan. But yeah, so it was a good series. I'm not as heartbroken about it as maybe some other Penguins fans because I thought they were going to lose anyway.
Yep.
And I am bummed out.
They did better than what we thought. We thought Rangers in 6.
Yeah, that's true. I am bummed out that they had a 3-1 series lead and they blew it. But like, given the circumstances with Domingue playing, Crosby being out for a game and a half, yeah,
it's not a bad result.
It's not. They played great, and I think I saw some like advanced stats that were like the Penguins literally should have won every single game based on like metrics.
Yeah, same with Washington.
Washington should have won, but should have and did are two different things. So what are you gonna do?
Hockey is one of the very few like luck-based sports.
Yep.
It depends on how that puck bounces.
That puck luck, baby.
And I love it.
Yeah. Oh.
All right,
I love it and hate it. Last series. Whoopsie. Sorry about that.
He didn't break anything.
I didn't break anything. I just hit a weird chandelier. Last series. Calgary versus Dallas. Calgary 1-7.
Which is
setting up the Battle of Alberta.
Well,
in the second
round.
We
didn't talk about how Florida and Tampa. Battle of Florida.
That's right. Battle of Florida. And then weirdly Carolina and New York. And Colorado and St. Louis.
Yes.
Well, we'll do a little pick'ems here in a second, but let's go through this Calgary and Dallas game.
Dallas made Calgary work.
They did, surprisingly. I actually thought Calgary was going to win this very easily. But Dallas pushed it to 7 games. Dallas...
That otter.
Dallas was up 2-1 going into this week?
Mm-hmm.
No. Calgary was up 2-1 going into this week. Calgary took game 4.
Yep.
To make it 3. No, I'm sorry. Dallas was up 2-1. God,
I was right. Haha.
Yeah, I can't.
These double IPAs are 8.
Yeah, we're getting there with these double IPAs. Calgary won game 4, 4-1. Johnny Gaudreau finally showed up, had a goal and an assist. Jacob Markstrom made 34 saves.
Mm-hmm.
Not much else to say about that game, really. This series was kind of weird because there wasn't like that much going on.
It wasn't chippy.
No, it really wasn't that chippy. There weren't that many like cheap shots.
No, not at all.
And which is crazy because Jamie Benn and Matt Tkachuk were in this series. So,
yeah,
but there really weren't. No. It wasn't that bad of a series. There's less to talk about, really. Moving on to Game 5, Calgary won 3-1 in Game 5 to make it 3-2 in the series for them. Michael Backlund had a goal and 2 assists. I just wrote Mangiapane. Didn't write what he did. It's pretty funny on my part. Markstrom made 20 saves in that game. Dallas only had 21 shots.
Yeah, it sounds
in
about
that
right.
Game 6, though, Dallas won 4-2. Michael Raffl had a goal and an assist. Rob Hintz had a goal and an assist.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Ottinger made 36 saves. Glenn Denning got hurt for... Don't remember which team he plays for, honestly.
For Dallas.
I think he plays for Dallas.
I know a lot of Calgary's team. That name doesn't ring a bell.
For Calgary. Sorry if we got this wrong. These 8% are hidden right now. Chris Tanev. Yeah, Chris Tanev also got hurt in this game. Oh. He definitely plays for Calgary. I know that
does.
But yeah, so Dallas forced a Game 7 where Calgary won in overtime. 3-2.
Got your money's worth.
Johnny Gaudreau, goal and assist, got that overtime game winner. That's what you want. He's a big maybe free agent.
Ottinger played.
Oh, I'm getting there. Tkachuk had a goal and an assist. Jake Ottinger, 64 saves in this game.
He had 60 saves before overtime.
Yeah, because it was only one overtime. Not even the full overtime.
It was 14 minutes of overtime.
Yeah, so it was most of a period, but 64 saves.
The man saved one with his head. Like, intentionally.
Here's the thing. Jake Ottinger, goalie of the future in Dallas. He had an amazing series.
He's an RFA.
He is. Yes, he is.
And who knows if he wants to stay there.
Well, he doesn't really have a choice, unfortunately. Unless they trade him, and I think they're not going to.
No, but Dallas is a little cap strong. Radulov is off.
Is he?
Yes, I think he's done. He's an unrestricted free agent.
I think he only had 1 year left.
They are not bringing him back.
No.
Jamie Benn, unfortunately, is 8.5 years for 3 more years.
Mm-hmm.
With
$8.5 million.
Full no move clause.
Yep. So he might waive it. They can ask.
He won't.
He won't. Sagan's a long contract too.
Dallas.
Well, here's the thing. Klingberg's contract's coming off. Mm-hmm. I know he's a free agent.
Yep.
However, Ottinger and Jason Robertson are both RFAs, so you're going to keep them. But what contract are they going to sign?
Right.
Because Robertson is, I think, a 2-time 30-goal scorer at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a very good young forward. You have to sign him.
Yes.
You have to sign Ottinger. Because look at what he did in the series.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's one. A lot of people going into were very critical of Calgary's offense.
Yeah.
For most of the series, which is kind of fair, but they're also not giving Dallas's defense credit because their defense played phenomenal. To force this Game 7, along with Ottinger. Ottinger was an absolute monster. So they do have a nice core going forward.
Yeah, I think Dallas isn't going to be terrible next year, but
this is another team that might go for Trotz.
Yeah,
they might let their rookies who were playing in the playoffs take a step. They'll let all their older free agents go, and then let those rookies take a step up. But
they have to keep Ottinger and Robertson. That would be a huge mistake.
For me, Dallas is looking pretty good in the future.
You think so?
Yes, they are concerned for the immediate future. Long term, I think they're fine.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, they might.
Next 2 years, they might struggle, but
once they get out of that Ben contract, they might be able to take steps forward. Robertson, I think, is a key piece moving into the future for them.
They also need to get a coach that isn't either fully offensively minded or fully defensively
or has off the ice issues.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot about that guy. Hopefully, he's getting the help he needed. But yeah, like you said, this is another team. This is another team that might be like, maybe Trotz.
They signed Pavelski. They extended Pavelski.
Yeah, I think for a couple of years.
Even though he's 38, he's still producing.
He still played pretty well for them. Yeah. He's good veteran leadership.
Exactly. So
they still have Sagan. He's kind of producing.
Mm-hmm. I can't think.
Ben really took a step back.
The guy who
Heiskanen is a great.
Heiskanen. I
can't
think of his
name. Heiskanen is a
right
star defenseman that they already locked up to a contract.
Mm-hmm.
They have Ryan Suter.
Yeah, they have
a couple more years.
They also have some younger guys that can very well.
They have Foxa and Rob Hintz too, who I believe are under contract moving forward at least for next year.
Yep.
So they have a solid mix of veteran and younger guys, and if they could get a coach, I don't even know what their coach's name is.
I don't either.
If they could get a coach that could blend that pretty well, Trotz. They might have a good future.
I think Detroit's the only one who shouldn't go for Trotz, just because of the amount of young guys that they have, and he really goes veteran first.
But if it's his only option,
fair.
Yeah. Well, let's do
a series.
That's the first round. So let's do a little bit of pick'ems moving forward for the second round of the playoffs. We're into the Elite Eight of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Let's start with Colorado and St. Louis. Clay, what are you feeling?
Colorado in 7.
In 7, you say?
I think with how well St. Louis played, they can push Colorado.
I'm gonna say Colorado in 6.
All right.
I think
this could also be the series where Colorado messes up.
It could be. Yeah, we could be wrong. They never make it
past the second round.
No, they made the Western Conference Finals a couple years ago against Vegas.
That one time.
Yeah. I don't trust Binnington to keep it up because he played well in this last series.
Put Husso back in, and then maybe he gets some confidence again.
Maybe. I don't know. Colorado is it's hard to pick against Colorado.
I agree. That's why I didn't.
Yeah. That's why I didn't either. But I wouldn't be shocked if St. Louis pulled it out either. St. Louis is a good team too, obviously. Yeah, I think Binnington might falter, and then Husso might not be able to pick up the slack.
Yeah.
For St. Louis, that's kind of what I feel about this series. How about the Battle of Alberta?
Calgary in 6.
Calgary in 6. Ooh.
It's either 6 or 5.
In 5? You thought even?
Edmonton's defense is not as good as Dallas's.
That's true. That is true. That is true. And their goaltending is not as good either. Not even anywhere close to as good.
No. Mike Smith has his moments.
Yeah,
but he also has his moments in the other way.
That's true. That is true. That is true.
I think, and Calgary's defense is better than LA's defense.
It is. That is for certain. And so is their goaltending.
Yes.
No hate to John Quick,
but
he's an older. Maybe on the same level.
They're on the same level. Quick kept them in that series sometimes.
Oh, boy, this is hard.
It is hard.
You know what? I've been accused of hating Edmonton. I'm going to pick Edmonton in 7.
That's fair.
I think it's going to be dramatic, and I'm going to be wrong in 2 weeks. And
here we are.
And then I'll hate Edmonton even more. Carolina and the Rangers.
Carolina. I'm trying to think of what game. 6.
In 6. I'm going to say Carolina in 5. Because, here's the thing. This is why I think that.
We're on the same page. We are on the same page.
The metrics for that Rangers-Penguins series. Now, I'm not complaining. The Rangers won. Those metrics are really bad for the Rangers.
The first 4 games of that series, the metrics for the Rangers all regular season were they're a bad 5-on-5 team. They're being bailed out by a great goalie and a hot power play. And Shesterkin looked mortal.
Shesterkin definitely looked pedestrian against the Penguins sometimes. The Penguins figured out how to beat him. Because if you paid attention to that series, when the Penguins put a puck at his feet, he lit up big, juicy rebounds.
Exactly.
The Penguins put up 4 and 6 goals, I think, against him.
Carolina is faster than Pittsburgh.
Oh, yes.
Carolina is a better defense than Pittsburgh.
Yes, they do.
Carolina has a better goalie than Pittsburgh.
Debatable.
With Ron.
Raanta is better than Domingue. I will give you that.
That's what I mean.
Yes, Raanta is better than Domingue.
With how the series was.
And Freddie Anderson might be back, too.
Oh, my God.
So if they have a tandem of Anderson and Raanta, that's way better than Louis Domingue playing for 6 games.
Exactly. So their speed...
I think they're going to overwhelm the Rangers. I really think they will.
I think the Rangers will put up a fight.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be close games. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. But I think Carolina is just going to outlast them.
They have the confidence coming off of the Pittsburgh win. That's going to win you a couple of games.
1 or 2 games.
It might win you 3.
Maybe.
But I think Carolina...
But Carolina just came off of beating Boston.
Look, it's one of those things where I can see this going to 7. I can see Carolina just stomping.
Yeah. I think they'll be close games, but I think Carolina will pull out 4 out of 5.
A win for the Rangers this playoffs is their young guys getting experience.
Yeah.
So the fact they made it past the first round is actually better than what they were expecting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So Keandre Miller has looked great.
Keandre Miller looks so good.
He looks like he's been
so jealous
playing in the playoffs for like 10 years.
So jealous.
So
I wish
good.
He was on the Penguins. Man, he is a good defenseman.
And then Fox, D'Angelo's going to get booed every time he touches the puck in Madison
Trouba will probably elbow somebody in the head.
And then you have Max
and
Domi.
not get punished for it.
You have Max Domi.
And then there's Max Domi who will probably also elbow somebody in the head.
Exactly. So. Like, they have the ability to be feisty.
I think it'll be a fun series, but I just feel like Carolina
dominated the regular season.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what happens.
No, the regular season does not matter.
Because the Rangers owned Pittsburgh.
And look what happened. The Penguins should have won that series by metrics. They should have won that series, but Yeah, I just feel like I just have a gut feeling Carolina's going to win this series by like faster than maybe people think.
I'm saying 6 just because because it's the playoffs and a lot of crap happens.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
If it happens in 4, I won't be surprised.
4 seems.
I won't be surprised. I don't expect that.
Yeah, I guess this is one of those series, like, it could be a sweep, could go to 7 games.
Exactly.
Don't know.
That's why I'm saying 6.
Yeah, I'm saying 5, because I just have this gut feeling I think Carolina is just going to overwhelm the Rangers and overwhelm Shesterkin.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll be close games. I don't think any of them are going to be blowouts, but I just think the Penguins have shown people how to beat Shesterkin.
Yep.
And I think Rod Brind'Amour seems like he's a pretty good coach.
Well, the only time...
So I think he'll look at that and be like, oh, I know how to beat this guy.
The only time the Rangers beat Carolina Georgiev was in net.
Maybe they play Georgiev for the whole series. All right. So, final series in the second round, the Battle of Florida. This might be the hardest one to call. I think no matter what, this might go to 7 games.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah.
Just put 7. I got Florida in 7.
You got Florida in 7? You know what? I'm going to say Florida in 7, too. I think they're going to run off of their...
Verhaeghe, man.
They finally won a playoff series. They got that monkey off their back. They're in the second round. They're against one of their biggest rivals. They're going to slay the dragon. They're going to take down Tampa Bay. They're going to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think it'll take 7 games because Tampa Bay is a very good team, too.
They're no slouch.
Not barring injuries of any sort, but we can't predict injuries. I think Vasilevsky might steal a game or 2 in there.
I think,
but
Kucherov and Stamkos have been playing great. Like Hedman's been playing great. Their core has been playing very well, so they might
pull it off too. You never know.
If Tampa wins, I won't be surprised either.
No, I wouldn't. Honestly, this is another one of those series that it could be a sweep too.
Mm-hmm.
One of these two teams could, Tampa Bay, could just be emotionally gutted from the Toronto series.
Yeah.
Because that got very emotional. That series did.
Yep.
And they could just run into a buzzsaw that is Florida that might just stomp them into the ground.
Right.
Or Tampa Bay might do the stomping for all I know, because if Florida has this bad propensity, like I mentioned before, of going down by multiple goals and then just being like, oh, we'll come back from that. I don't think you could do that against Tampa Bay.
Not against Vasilevsky.
Not against Vasilevsky, not with Hedman in the lineup.
No.
The rest of their defense is good too.
Mm-hmm.
McDonough. You're not going to... I always forget that McDonough is on Tampa Bay.
It's funny.
McDonough, Sergachev, all of these good defensemen,
It's funny that there's so many ex-Rangers still in the playoffs on other teams.
I know, right?
Carolina is just the Rangers versus Rangers.
Man, watch Tony DeAngelo score in overtime to eliminate the Rangers. Calling it right now.
Well, and also there's a bunch
of... That would be so
many
pissed.
New Yorkers are moving to Carolina. So it's one of those things...
True. Yeah, true.
There's a town called Cary, which is outside Raleigh, and they call that containment area for relocated
for New Yorkers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird. It's the same thing with Pittsburghers in Virginia. For some reason, there's a bunch of ex-Pittsburghers in Virginia that just are snowbirds that decided to retire somewhere a little warmer.
North Carolina's great. Lived there for 4 years.
Oh yeah, you did. That's true. But yeah, let's go Florida. I'm pulling for you now that the Penguins are out. Or Colorado. I'm kind of pulling for Colorado too.
I like Florida. I want a team that's never wanted to win it.
Yeah, I'm down with
Florida
that.
or Calgary. I like Calgary.
Calgary hasn't won since I think '89, so that's long enough.
Yeah.
Colorado won in 2002, I think was the last time they won. Carolina 2006.
Yeah, because it was the Lightning before the lockout, and then it was Carolina immediately after.
And obviously Tampa Bay the last 2 years, but I'm tired of them winning.
Yep.
Rangers won in '94, but you know what? You knocked out the Penguins, so go fuck yourself.
You're in the Metro, so go to hell.
Yeah, that makes me not want to cheer for Carolina either.
I mean, we live in New Rangers territory. They hate it.
Oh god, yeah. Thankfully, nobody was a dick to me. The Rangers fans that we know.
Night's young.
Well, actually, the one that I was a little worried about being a dick to me was actually oh, I thought you were going to be mean to me today. for the Penguins getting knocked out. I was like, I'm not going to be mean to you. I know how to take a loss. Right. I'm a good sport, like...
it's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Yeah, it was only a game. Why you have to be mad? I was like, I expected them to lose anyway. So, like, this is just... It's just more of a bummer that they blew a 3-1 lead. But whatever. Yeah, those are our picks. We'll see how wrong we are. We did call a few of these series. 2 right. Yeah, we each got 2 right. So we'll see what this entails. Playoff start on Tuesday the 17th. Which would be today for when this comes out.
Yep.
So that'll be exciting. I don't know if I don't think all of them start on Tuesday, but two of them start tomorrow. I'm sure one East, one West starts tomorrow, and then one East, one West on Wednesday.
Hopefully they don't make it at 10 o'clock so I can actually watch the game instead of recaps.
I mean, I can watch it tomorrow because I'm off, but...
Yeah, but I get tired.
No, I get tired too, so... But yeah, we'll be back here next week to talk to you about what's going on in these series so far. Have some insights on what's happening, and maybe some more coaching firings. Who knows? Maybe Barry Trotz will be on a new team by next week.
He's going to take his time.
Like I said, he's the belle of the ball right now for coaching positions. Mm-hmm. He's a very good coach. I don't think he should have been fired by the Islanders. And now every team that needs a coach, or maybe doesn't even need a coach, is like, maybe we hire Barry Trotz.
Hey, girl, what's up?
hey, yo, Trotzy, what's going on, girl? But anyway, we'll be...
get a goalie coach in Mitch Korn.
Yeah, that's true.
They're
a tandem, yeah. You can follow us on BuzzPucks, at BuzzPucks on Twitter. Find this podcast on wherever podcasts are found. Mm-hmm. On those places, if you would give us a rate, review, and subscribe, that would be great. It helps us, apparently. But yeah, we'll see you next week. Same puck time.
Same puck place.
Bye-bye. Say bye.
Bye.